Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered what would happen if the moon just vanished? It's not just a beautiful nightlight. It's the celestial bodyguard that makes life on Earth possible. If the moon suddenly disappeared, the first thing you'd notice is the chaos in our oceans. Without the moon's gravitational pull, our planet's tides would shrink by about 75%. The sun still has some influence, but those massive waves we know would become gentle ripples. This sounds calm, but it would devastate coastal ecosystems. Marine life that depends on the rhythm of the tides, from crabs to sea turtles, would face extinction. Our coastlines would be forever altered, and global weather patterns would spin into unpredictable chaos. But the tidal changes are just the beginning. The moon is also responsible for Earth's stable 23.5-degree tilt. This tilt is what gives us our predictable seasons. Without the moon's steadying hand, Earth would start to wobble violently on its axis, swinging anywhere from 10 to 45 degrees. Imagine summers hot enough to boil water and winters that plunge entire continents into a deep freeze. Our seasons would become extreme and erratic. Agriculture would collapse, and much of the planet would become completely uninhabitable. And it gets even scarier. Without the moon's protection, Earth becomes a much bigger target in a cosmic shooting gallery. The moon acts like a gravitational shield, pulling in countless asteroids and comets that might otherwise slam into us. Just look at its cratered surface. That's all evidence of impacts that Earth was spared. Without it, the rate of major meteor impacts on Earth could increase dramatically over time. The next catastrophic event wouldn't be a matter of if, but when. Beyond all the science, there's something deeply human we'd lose. The moon is woven into our culture, our songs, our poetry, and our dreams. For millennia, it has guided farmers, inspired lovers, and comforted lonely travelers. Without its gentle glow, our nights would feel emptier, darker, and more daunting, both literally and emotionally. The spark of human imagination that the moon has fueled for so long would dim. So, could we survive? Technically, yes, but humanity would have to adapt to a world that is far harsher, more unpredictable, and much, much darker. The moon isn't just a rock floating in space. It's Earth's silent partner, the cosmic anchor that maintains the delicate balance of our world. So the next time you look up and see the moon, take a moment to appreciate it. It's holding our oceans in place, stabilizing our seasons, and protecting our planet. It is the quiet guardian that allows us to exist in the world we know and love today. It might seem small and distant, but if it ever disappeared, we'd finally realize just how big its role truly is. It's quiet night. The full moon shines softly over the oceans, the forests, and the cities that never sleep. A silent guardian in the vast, dark sky. But then, in an instant, it's gone. No explosion. No warning. The moon just vanishes. What happens to Earth when its only natural satellite disappears? First, the night sky would become incredibly dark. A paradise for stargazers, but a nightmare for nocturnal animals that rely on moonlight to hunt and navigate. Without the moon's gravitational pull, our tides would shrink dramatically. The sun still has an effect, but the massive high and low tides we know would be gone, replaced by much smaller, less powerful ones. This would devastate coastal ecosystems that have evolved around the tidal cycle for millions of years. And that's just the beginning. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered, what if the moon wasn't there? At first, you might not notice. The sky just looks a little darker, a bit emptier. But within hours, the world would begin to change in ways we can barely imagine. The first victim is our planet's vast ocean. You see, the moon's gravity is like an invisible hand, controlling the tides, pulling water back and forth every single day. Without it, that powerful pull vanishes. The tides wouldn't disappear completely, because the sun has some influence too, but they would shrink to only about 1/3 of their normal height. Imagine standing on a familiar beach. The constant, rhythmic sound of waves crashing would fade. Coastal areas would fall eerily silent. This isn't just a change in scenery, it's a catastrophe for marine life. Countless creatures depend on the tides for survival. Think about it. Crabs, sea turtles, mussels, and thousands of other species in tidal zones rely on the ebb and flow of water to feed, reproduce, and live. Coral reefs, which are already so fragile, would suffer immensely from the sudden change in water levels and currents. Without the moon's familiar rhythm, entire ecosystems would begin to collapse, one after another, like a tragic line of dominoes. The ocean, which we see as a symbol of life and power, would no longer breathe the way it used to. It would become a silent, struggling giant. But the chaos doesn't stop at the shoreline. The moon's absence would send ripples across the entire globe, affecting everything from our planet's climate to its very rotation. The moon acts as a stabilizer for Earth's axis. Right now, our planet tilts at a steady 23.5 degrees, which gives us predictable seasons. Without the moon's gravitational anchor, this tilt would start to wobble wildly over thousands of years. Imagine winters becoming unbearably cold and summers scorchingly hot in places they never were before. Polar ice caps could melt at an unpredictable rate, while other regions might plunge into a permanent ice age. The stable climate that allowed human civilization to flourish would be a thing of the past. We'd be living on a planet thrown into climatic chaos. And then there's our day. The moon's gravity actually slows down Earth's rotation. Without it, our planet would start to spin faster. A day would no longer be 24 hours long. It could shrink to as little as 6 to 8 hours. This would mean incredibly powerful winds whipping across the surface, possibly reaching speeds of hundreds of miles per hour, creating perpetual, planet-wide hurricanes. Life on the surface would become almost impossible for anything larger than a microbe. So, the next time you look up and see that beautiful, bright orb in the night sky, remember, it's not just a pretty light. It's our planet's silent guardian, our cosmic partner that makes life as we know it possible. The moon is a critical piece of the puzzle that is our world. It's a humbling reminder of how interconnected everything truly is. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered, what if the moon just wasn't there? We all know the moon controls the tides, but its absence would trigger a chain reaction of chaos that goes far beyond the oceans. First, let's talk about Earth's stability. The moon acts like a cosmic anchor, keeping our planet's tilt steady at a comfortable 23.5 degrees. This is what gives us our predictable seasons. Without the moon, Earth would start to wobble like a spinning top, losing momentum. Over thousands of years, this axial tilt could swing wildly, maybe from 10 degrees all the way to 45 degrees. A wobble like that means total climate pandemonium. Imagine the equator freezing over, while the North Pole becomes a tropical paradise. Summers could become unbearably hot, followed by winters that plunge the planet into a deep freeze for years. The predictable cycle of spring, summer, fall, and winter would be gone forever. Our planet's climate would become completely unrecognizable, and most life, including us, would struggle to survive. And what about our nights? Without the moon's familiar glow, the night sky would be profoundly dark. The stars would blaze with an intensity we've never seen, which sounds beautiful, but it would be unsettling. Nocturnal predators that rely on moonlight to hunt, like owls and big cats, would face starvation. And for humanity, it would be a huge loss. For millennia, ancient cultures used the moon as their clock and calendar. An entire piece of our shared human history would simply vanish. But the effects get even more personal. The moon's gravitational pull subtly influences our biology. You might have heard people say they don't sleep well during a full moon, and there's some science to back that up. Our circadian rhythms, our internal body clocks, are partially tuned to the lunar cycle. Without the moon, our sleep patterns could drift, leading to widespread sleep disorders and other health issues. We'd feel a constant, low-level jet lag. Finally, if the moon were to just vanish instantly, the sudden disappearance of its gravity would give Earth a tiny but significant nudge. This wouldn't throw us out of orbit, but it would make our path around the sun slightly less stable. Over millions of years, even a small change could have drastic consequences for our planet's long-term climate and its place in the solar system. So the next time you see the moon, take a moment to appreciate it. It's not just a pretty light in the sky. It's the silent guardian that makes life on Earth possible. What other cosmic what-ifs keep you up at night? Let me know in the comments below.